Wish TV. All Indiana Politics
is your premier source for Indiana politics.
Focusing on issues that matter to you.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage, exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders, expert analysis on critical legislation. From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Now, from your day moves fast. Your news should too. That's why there's a new and improved Wish TV app, bringing you more local news, breaking alerts, live streaming, weather forecast, radar, and Indiana sports, all in one place. Customize your news feed to see the stories that matter most to you and get the information you need when you need it. Download the new and improved Wish TV app today on iOS or Android and take News 8 with you everywhere. Your local news source. This is All Indiana Politics.
An AI firm accidentally hacks a cybersecurity company, and Senator Jim Banks wants answers. Hello, everyone. I'm Phil Sanchez for All Indiana Politics. Banks tells our Garrett Berquist the federal government needs to enforce more oversight over AI development. He also explains why he's not worried the Iran war will drain our stockpile of missile interceptions.
Let's bring in Senator Jim Banks. Senator, welcome back to the show.
Good to be with you.
You recently asked the Secretary of the Treasury to look into greater oversight of unreleased AI models, and this was after OpenAI says it accidentally hacked another cybersecurity firm. What specifically are you looking for?
Well, that's not the first time that's happened. Some of these new AI models that are being built in AI labs I liken it to the raptors getting out of the cage in Jurassic Park. They're powerful. They have capabilities that we don't fully understand. And all the while, these AI labs employ foreign nationals, in many cases, Chinese nationals. So we need to better understand the security threats that are occurring in some of these labs. And that's the reason that I sent the letter that I did to the Secretary of the Treasury and called on more oversight. At the end of the day, AI it's here, it's important. Our economy is going to change because of it. I think our economy is going to change in really good ways, and there might be some bad effects of it as well. But we've got it. The federal government has to be more involved in the national security part of it, and make sure that some of these models that are coming out of these labs can't do things like build a nuclear weapon or a weapon of mass destruction or take over other systems or other companies and do all of that autonomously. The federal government needs to provide more leadership and oversight.
At least right now, do you expect any legislation to come out of this? What might that look like?
Well, so much is happening at such a rapid pace on this front. I mean, just in the last 12 months, the conversations and the public policy debates about AI, they're changing every day. So I hope that the administration, which is very focused on this, President Trump is very focused on AI and digging into some of these subjects. I'm focused on export controls and making sure that we're not giving up our best computer chips or our best technologies and sending them to China to our own detriment. So, in fact, I passed a bill, the AI Overwatch bill. I got it into the annual defense bill that would codify President Trump's directive that we don't send our best chips to China, who can use those chips to build their AI better than our AI and use it against us. So there are a lot of different debates and subjects related to this, but all of it's developing so rapidly and changing every single day.
You just introduced legislation to set up a pilot bundled payment model for food as medicine programs. How does this build on existing programs, such as those within Medicaid?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is common sense. I mean, we need to support people who need it the most, and in this case, we need to crack down on fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicaid, but make sure that those dollars are being spent on food that goes directly to people and support people who need it.
Could this program turn into a broader effort to bring fresh produce into food deserts?
Well, I think so. I mean, we see this throughout Indiana and Indianapolis especially. So locally grown and sourced food from Indiana farmers that Medicaid can provide to Medicaid recipients. That's healthier food. This is all part of the Make America Healthy, the MAHA movement, and just a common sense piece of legislation.
Turning to the war with Iran, what discussions have you had with the Pentagon about the status of our weapons stockpiles, particularly Patriot interceptors?
I serve on the House, or I serve on the Senate Armed Services Committee, served on the House Armed Services Committee before that, and we're briefed every single week by the Pentagon on what's happening in Iran. I can tell you, without providing classified information, I can tell you that we have all of the munitions, we have everything that our military needs to continue to keep up the push on Iran to come to the table to make sure that they never have a nuclear weapon. But I'm concerned about the future and restoring our munitions stockpiles. I can tell you that the munitions that we sent to Ukraine when Joe Biden was in office, compared to what we're using in Iran, is a drop in the bucket compared to the munitions that we sent to Ukraine. And the Biden administration didn't do anything to rebuild the munitions stockpiles. This is why we need to support the annual defense bill, the NDAA, that I've been very involved with, and why we need to support President Trump's push for a larger defense budget. And Indiana plays a big role in all of this. In fact, just a couple of months ago, we broke ground on a munitions factory at Crane Navy Base in southern Indiana. That's a joint venture between Kratos, which is a great American defense company, and Rafael, which is a great Israeli defense company. And they're going to make those munitions, those rockets that we need to keep up the pressure on Iran, and then continue to project a military strength to our adversaries like China and Russia, North Korea, and keep America safe and secure for years to come.
The Iranian regime has repeatedly reneged on its offer of peace. Are we at risk of this turning into a very long-term conflict at much higher intensity than we've seen over the previous 47 years?
Well, I think what President Trump has been so effective at is keeping up the precision and targeted strikes on Iran. We've wiped out 85% of Iran's ballistic missiles. We've decimated Iran's defense industrial base. It will take them decades to rebuild what our military has wiped out in Iran. But President Trump has made it very clear, we're going to keep up the pressure to make sure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon, because if Iran ever gets a nuclear weapon, it's going to be pointed at us, it's going to be pointed at our troops and our allies. And I got to tell you, I don't want my daughters to grow up in a world where Iran has a nuclear weapon, because that would be catastrophic. And President Trump is the first president in 47 years that's not letting Iran get away with it. When Iran strikes one of our ships or sends a rocket toward one of our bases, President Trump is lashing out and making them feel the hurt.
The Senate is now taking up the Protect College Sports Act. Do you support it in its current form? And what will this mean for sports programs at smaller universities like Ball State or UIndy?
Yeah, college sports is broken. We have to do something. I think this bill does a lot to fix it, but I have one big concern, and that's that I believe that this bill weakens Indiana's state law that prevents men from playing against women in sports. We have one of the strongest laws in the country. 27 states have passed laws to stop boys competing against girls. I have 3 daughters myself in high school and middle school who play sports. This is personal to me, as it is to so many Hoosiers. So I'm advocating for a very small change in the bill that clarifies that the bill does not weaken state laws like Indiana's state law before I can vote for it.
So to be clear, you're not looking for a nationwide ban?
Well, the language that I'm advocating for in the Save College Sports bill would clarify that it doesn't circumvent or it doesn't water down Indiana's state law, or that the federal law would strike down Indiana's state law that bans men from playing against women in sports. So that it's not about a nationwide ban. It's about making sure that Indiana's law is not watered down in the process.
Senator Jim Banks, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, an encouraging development in Hammond's efforts to bring the Chicago Bears to town after the break. Well, the Chicago Bears say they might have found a new stadium site in Hammond, Indiana, that's even better than the one they had already considered. This new statement is their clearest yet on the possibility of moving to the Hoosier State. Garrett Berquist explains where that leaves the discussion.
Chicago Bears leadership still has not outright said whether they are moving to Indiana, but Thursday's remarks leave no doubt they favor doing so.
But even though we've had occasional meetings with the state of Illinois, our sole focus at this point in time is working on a world-class stadium and mixed-use development in Hammond, Indiana.
That's the clearest statement yet from a franchise that has played for more than a century in the Windy City. And Warren now says the team discovered a second site in Hammond that might be even better than the one city officials originally offered. He says the team has finished researching the first site and is investigating the second one.
We have to get this right. I mean, this is a 40 to 50 year decision, and we have to pull all these things together. So I'm looking forward to bringing it to close from a legislative standpoint, so we can get on to the construction.
Just outside the red zone, but getting close enough that it's time to ask very serious questions, because we're getting very, very serious.
Rosentraub helped lead Indianapolis's negotiations for Lucas Oil Stadium. He says Hammond officials need to have a plan now to deal with game day traffic, and he says they should make those plans public. Rosentraub says the traffic management issue is the matter that's most likely to derail Hammond's bid.
If they can't get their fans there, then no matter what they build, it's not going to work. Fans are just simply not going to spend their money at a stadium that's too inconvenient to get to.
Governor Mike Braun says Hammond's chances look good.
Since they now know that's what they're focusing on, they're not up against the gun time-wise. They were getting a little panicked when the state of Illinois, 5.5 years, wasn't doing anything. It's moved fairly quickly with us. It's on schedule. Describe it using a football term, in the red zone.
The Bears still won't give a timeline for a final decision, and Rosentraub says it's hard to guess. State Senator Lonnie Randolph, whose district includes Hammond, tells me he thinks the Bears most likely will make a decision in October or November.
All right, coming up, Indianapolis councilors override the mayor's veto on a wheel tax. Indiana's best political team dives into what it means for budget negotiations.
The opinions expressed by guests on this broadcast are solely of those of the individual speaking and do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of Circle City Broadcasting.
All right, welcome back to All Indiana Politics as we welcome in two members of Indiana's best political team, Republican Chuck Coleman and Democrat Lindsay Hake. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
Chuck, you came back.
I did.
We didn't scare her.
No.
All right, ladies, let's bear down on the Bears issue. Chuck, at this point, how likely is it that the Bears are coming to Indiana?
I think this is a really good sign. I mean, to have these continuous conversations, for them to come out and say, we are looking at Indiana, this is fantastic. I love that the governor is working with the Democratic mayor of Hammond in order to make this work. It's a win for Northwest Indiana. It's an economic win for them. And I'm excited to hear that these conversations are continuing.
Okay, Lindsay, let's talk about the financial aspect of this all.
Yes.
Is it worth the $1 billion that the state's throwing at the Bears to attract them to Indiana?
Yeah, it's a mix mash of abatements and incentives. I'm not really sure about that yet so far, only because of what comes with that investment, right? With the $1 billion should come a serious number of jobs. It should come with a serious amount of just, besides the box checking that we can say we're better than Illinois, right? That's, you can't take that to the bank. That's not a check you can cash. I love cashing that every day, but I'm married to a region rat. So I would say that we need to see where the dollars come down to brass tacks. And I know that Mayor McDermott is working on that.
Right.
Alongside Governor Braun, I echo that's exciting to see bipartisan support to see this coming to Indiana, but we need to see if this actually is going to benefit Hoosiers and down.
As we saw in Garrett's piece there, it seems like the traffic situation might be a dilemma, right? So how big of an issue do you think that is?
Yes and no, but you also have the South Shore there that just had massive federal investment and is improved. And that's a value 100%. I mean, forgetting about transit is a mistake here, and we need to remember that that is one reason that this is so viable versus a scenario where we had with, like, say, for example, Jets Giants.
Sure.
You know?
Yep. Oh, I know it well. Yes.
So I think that's important to remember, but I also think it's important that we need to remember it's $1 billion, and yet we still have problems with CCDF. We still have problems with Medicaid being approved on a timely basis for individuals. I think we need to work on that.
Chaka?
We are better than Illinois in every way, shape, and form. I mean, kudos to lawmakers for making sure that we have an environment, a business environment, where other individuals want to come to the state. They want to do business here. They want to make sure that they're a part of our economy. I don't think that the traffic issue is kind of make or break for this. And I'm just really excited that these conversations are continuing in a positive direction because it's great for Northwest Indiana.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, we will stay on top of it and see what happens. We might get an update here in the fall, so fingers crossed, we'll see. The Indianapolis County Council overrode Mayor Joe Hogsett's wheel tax. We talked about this last week, the veto of it. Chaka, I have two questions for you on this one. What does this say about the mayor's relationship with the council, and what are the implications as the council begins budget negotiations?
Yeah, I think that the relationship with the council is going to be just fine, right? Like we talked about, really tough decisions needed to be made, and they made one. I'm excited that we can move forward on this issue. As someone who recently paid over $600 for a tire and a rim, I mean, I know that there is a ton of merit to the Republicans' argument that Indianapolis should have looked within instead of looking at taxing individuals. That's always a last resort, raising taxes. But I do think that it was important for them to make this decision in order to receive the funding that the state has for them.
Lindsay, a lot of talk about where the money actually would go. Your thoughts on that?
The money for the wheel tax,
yes.
the revenue that's coming with that?
Like, for instance, would it actually go to the streets, or might maybe more of it go to pedestrian safety?
It's going to have to go to infrastructure, period. I think that's the law required, HEA 1461 requires that.
But wouldn't
in
the
order to get the
pedestrian
match.
safety part also kind of fall under that as well?
I certainly hope so,
right. Because
that's an important component of complete streets. That's why complete streets is a thing called that. And that's why Vision Zero is an important portion of that, because people using our streets are not just cars. You have folks who roll, who take a stroller everywhere. I mean, I took the Red Line was a key component for me when I was a mom with a stroller, because I could take it on there with me and then use the complete streets to the rest of our family's advantage. But I will tell you, back to your first question on the whole Hogsett council relationship, sure. It has to be said, I think Mayor Hogsett has made that relationship hard for himself with his own actions, much less the argument from...
In what sense?
Just the actions he's taken in the past few years with criticism he has received from the Thomas Cook affair, and also from how many employees were treated during that conversation.
Okay. All right, so this one is for both of you. Looking over the budget, what are some of the other key areas to watch out for? Lindsay, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I think you've seen the past week, we've had tremendous rain events here in Indy.
Right.
Obviously, we've had great restoration, or I would even say restoration, really investment in ability to manage stormwater with Dig Indy. Such a great project. Obviously, that was a result of a consent decree, but you've got other investment that's seriously showing its age here in Indianapolis, which is why this was such a significant move forward for the city to get that $50 million from the state match. It will be more in those coming years too, and so that's important. We'll see really there'll probably be a laundry list of things that each counselor probably has on their list that have been there for a long time.
Right, right.
Those DPW cones have been there and are weathered, so we need to move forward on these things.
Drive through the city and you'll see a lot of them. Chaka, your thoughts?
The two things that constituents consistently bring up is public safety and infrastructure. I mean, I love it that the budget is addressing some of those issues, but I also think that we have to look at some of the other parts of the budget where maybe some of that anti-violence dollars that are going to be put forth that Hogsett has committed to continuing, where some counselors are a little bit worried about where that money has gone. There are also some other things that counselors can, like Lindsay said, prioritize, and we should keep an eye on those.
Okay, listen quickly. I want to get to this one. The Indiana Recount Commission reversed the result of the state Senate District 23 primary. Paula Copenhaver, now the presumptive winner. Your thoughts on this, Lindsay? Quickly.
Yeah, I don't think this story is not over.
Right.
Let's be honest. You'll see litigation coming from Senator Deary on this, I imagine. It's just too close a race to just throw away, to not having any accountability from the judicial system on this one. Just me.
Chaka, final thoughts?
If there is one example of voter turnout being very, very important to the Hoosier State, this is it. Every vote counts, and we absolutely need to increase voter turnout so that things like this don't happen in the future.
Well, we will stay on top of it. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And by the way, yeah, quickly, Giants guy here, okay? Never had a problem getting to that swamp in New Jersey to watch a game. So just keep that in mind for all of the naysayers out there. Fans will show up. Thank you very much for being here.
Go
Thank
Bears.
you.
Okay, there you go. We'll be right back.
The opinions expressed by guests on this broadcast are solely of those of the individual speaking and do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of Circle City Broadcasting.
Thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics this week. We'll be back here next Sunday. Have a great rest of your weekend.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.